So the next 3 weeks, to avoid much stagnation with my nationals team, I'm kind of giving it a break so that I don't get bored of it and start getting sloppy with it. More on that at another time. But what I want to talk about now is, geez Louise, what am I doing with myself? It's talking about the blame game. And when I say the blame game, it's that idea of who do you blame for your losses? Heroclix is a game, and I've noticed this quite frequently. There are more things being blamed in the game that aren't the players than I've seen in any other game I've ever played. You know what I mean? Whereas, like, you know, what I'm referring to is, I lost the game because I made a mistake. I lost the game because I did this. I didn't do this, and that's what cost me the game. So on and so forth. A lot of the times, people don't blame their choices, a lot of times because they should be. In other cases, you know, we are very frequently blaming the dice, blaming things extra of the game. Sorry, extra of ourselves. And it's very easy to do in this game because we presented something like the dice. Like the lack of knowledge of a character, that kind of thing presents itself in this game more than any other. So, with that knowledge, we got to talk about the confidence and understanding that this comes with, right? And 9 times out of 10, the blame game starts from when you built your team. I say this as I enter the world of what the heck am I doing for Worlds? I've decided that if anybody follows my lead as far as building this team or using this team because I'm using it for Worlds, you're out of your minds, 1, and 2, you're probably not going to see it because I'm not likely on the going to be there market. So that said, what decision did I make? Well, I made the decision based on fun. And that is not the first, that's already a bad decision I'm making going into Worlds. I'm basing my decision on fun. 2, I'm not basing it on the figure styles that I'm playing. And that's problem number 2 that I can fix with practice. But ultimately, it's just at the point of insanity. So when I say if I go to Worlds and I lose at Worlds, I have nobody to blame but myself this time around. So without further ado, I've been talking about this team a couple times now. I think I mentioned it on the Metafix back when I was regularly on, or Meta Lab rather, when I was regularly on that show. But it's a factory. Like I've made figure factories. I have never needed this many cards for the things I'm going to be making. This is the literal figure factory. This is not I'm making a bunch of bystanders and scoring my opponent. I am making physical characters with this team, and it's pure nonsense. So, that said, Hella is part of my team. She makes Warrior Souls. Thanks to the guys over at Big Bully Games, they've made me some wonderful looking Warrior Souls as I just throw them all over the place if you guys don't mind. So Hella takes the lead. Anytime a character who is not a bystander dies, she makes a bystander, a warrior soul that happens to have phasing, blaze claws, fangs, 17 defense, and 2 damage. 11 attack, 17 defense, sorry, with super senses. Neato little things that can get in people's faces. In addition to which, I'm making the team with the Chase Daredevil from Avengers Defenders War, who makes hand ninjas. I'm also backing it all up with the Black Panther, who we've seen on the Mistress Death teams in the past. So we are familiar with this character and know, you know, that he makes Wakandans. So far we got Daredevil making hand ninjas, Black Panther making Wakandans, and I had 5 points, so I put in triples. You know what they aren't? They aren't bystanders. I said it. Alright. That said, the idea is, of course, as frequently as possible, get hand ninjas out with Daredevil. Daredevil, his doesn't take words are just not coming to me. His ability to make hand ninjas is not hindered by some random device or some occurrence. It is a power action in order to do so. And if somebody happened to kill a hand ninja, it's a free action this turn. Our Black Panther has leadership, which is how he creates the Wakandans. And the triples create the triples. So this is how we get our output. There's a 50-50 chance that Black Panther makes a character because his leadership trigger is what makes a Wakandan, but his leadership trigger is on a 4, 5, or 6 as opposed to the usual 5 or 6. On a 4, 5, or on a 4, you get a weaker Wakandan. On a 5, you get a higher damage, but not as good as top click Wakandan, and on a 6, you get a full-blown Wakandan. Now, one of the neat tricks is, of course, the leadership from the Black Panther, because of the new leadership rules, he has a ruler keyword, the Daredevil has a ruler keyword, Hela has the ruler keyword. I actually broke theme in order to put the triples on my team. Stop it. Don't be ashamed of me. Don't be ashamed of me. I did it to myself. But as well, I didn't see a theme requirement out of this team. I didn't need theme, and I think the triples, being able to use the triples as mastermind fodder for my Black Panther was way more valuable, as well the ability to only give up 5 points to make a warrior soul. Now everybody always says, Jason, you're going to give up points. Well, yeah, I mean, this is the kind of team I made. When I make a team like this, I'm going to give up points. My goal is to make them back. And with the pure numbers that you get out of this, it's very important that you make those points back. Sometimes people are going to overreact and not kill things, and then they're going to find out that when I have a Wakandan next to a couple of hand ninjas who happen to be in hindering terrain, that Wakandan might deal 4 damage. This team has a lot of surprises that the uninitiated are going to be unaware. But at the same time, this is not super hyper on the level of everybody else. And when I lose, notice I said when I lose with this team, I'm not going to blame anybody but myself as far as the team is concerned. If I win, I am going to blame a series of things that my team does that would cause a team to lose, such as overwhelming numbers. I can blame my overwhelming numbers, my ability to out-action my opponent constantly on their lack of success. Dice might factor in, but honestly, I'm going to be throwing so many dice, some of them are bound to hit. I mean, who knows, right? Ultimately, everything factors on a number of things. Every time you miss, you probably didn't have prob. You can blame dice eventually, but in the same situation, when you blame those dice, you got to look at the situation you put yourself in on the off chance that you are going to miss. If you put yourself in a vulnerable position where if you miss, you lose, well, I mean, you have to walk in and say, I put myself in a situation where if I miss, I lost, right? And that's a thing a lot of Heroclix players lack. So this is part of my storytelling with my Worlds team is I'm playing a team that is very off the cuff, very wacky, very Jason, we'll call it, because Jason doesn't play what everybody else is playing. So I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to see what works. I'm going to go through testing. I might lose every testing game, but then might actually fare better in the actual environment of gameplay. A number of factors are going to play with how this is going to go. Long and the short of it, part of confidence, part of getting a good understanding of Heroclix is understanding when you're making the mistake and understanding when you got outplayed and you have nobody to blame but them or their dice. Sorry, not the dice. Try to avoid blaming the dice, to be really honest. This is what I'm trying to do. Trying to say don't blame with the dice 100% of the time, because 100% of the time people tend to. Other times, you know, for the most part, you're generally outplayed, and sometimes it's just that build. And sometimes you can just say, his build was better than mine, I had an uphill climb. It's hard to say that right off the top. That's math that takes a much longer episode that I might try to do one day, but that's neither here nor there. I've rambled on enough. I made a team. It's going to be silly. Don't blame anybody for your losses but yourself or your opponent. In the meantime, guys, it's been a good talk. This team's going to be a ton of fun. I can't wait to practice with it and watch my wife just kind of look at me and go, stop making things. She's played against this team before in the past, and she hates and loves it. So, all right, guys. So the first thing I got to do is practice. And that's going to make this team better. And that's what you should be doing is practice to make your team better. Have a good night.